Hi everyone, we're live. I'm having some issues with my camera and my display and everything. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes trying to rearrange the order of my monitors so I can actually see what I'm doing, and my computer is just not rearranging them in the right order, and I don't really understand why that's happening at all. I'm like moving the numbers around and it's not actually changing the order of the monitors. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to, something is not connecting correctly for me to even try and get everything up so that I can see it, which is really frustrating. And I don't know how to fix this. Sorry, guys. I guess. All right. Well, we're just gonna have to act like there's two. I can't even get anything onto a different monitor. Okay, that one worked. All right. Well, we're just gonna have to mess with that and do it that way, I guess. I'm sorry, guys. We have some super chats already. So, let's jump into those. Let's see. Trashman 4444 says, live from the land of the gram, it's the lady who dares to have a live stream on Friday the 13th who is eclipsing Fox by leaps and bounds. That is not true. And is the top contender for the Jeopardy host gig. And with that, here's Dolly. Thank you. Thank you. And Rose Blight says, there she is. Hello, Liberty Doll. And Jesse Meek says, hi, Doll. We all missed you. Welcome back. My best to you and Mr. Doll. So I guess first thing I am going to address that. And I do apologize for not being completely ready when I signed on and having my stuff set up. The way that lives work on Facebook is if you pass a certain number of minutes late, it doesn't actually allow you to broadcast. And once you're within like 10 minutes of the window, it also does not allow you to reschedule it. So you very much, you have about an 8-minute buffer. And that's about it. Robin Patty says hammers can fix computers. So yeah, also, I guess, where do I wanna, So I'm gonna be honest. So last week was it last week? Time is just nuts. So I was supposed to be live streaming the election results last week. I'm gonna try to not get upset. Ooh, it's not working. Anyways, I apologize. I had to cancel that, and I had to, and then I disappeared for a few days. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not what you guys tuned in for. The short version is that I suffered a sudden and devastating and unexpected loss last week. And I am not 100% sure that I'm really ready to be back. But I'm a one-woman show, and the show must go on. And so here I am, and we're going to do the best that we can. All right. Ooh. I know this is not what people are tuning in for, but so anyways, so that's why I was not on the stream last week, and I wasn't sure if it was my brain that was having trouble processing everything that was going on in the news, or if it was just like the complexity and absurdity of what was going on in the news. I have been assured that most people can't quite figure out what is going on, and so I'm glad that it's not just me. And wow, golly, there is a lot of stuff going on. So so first thing, of course, I did follow a little bit what was going on that night, and there was someone that, again, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm like interpreting these results incorrectly because of everything going on, or if it really is that confusing and strange. But I don't know how closely you guys were following. I did take a couple screenshots. So the AP has called the election for Biden at this point. Where are my screenshots here? And there was a few states in particular that even from the beginning I was very confused about. So for example, this was at, let's see, it was just like, is that 8 o'clock or what here? But so for example, like North Carolina, at one point, there was only 33% of votes were even reporting. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see. Oh, actually pretty good. Look at that. So in this screenshot, let's see if we can get it to focus. There we go. Look at that. So look at this. So this was what Google was showing as the main results. This is from the AP. And this was at a point where only 33% of the votes for North Carolina were being tallied. And you can see that it says Donald Trump was at approximately 60% of the vote at that point, and Biden was only at 40%. And they had already called it for Biden. And there were several states that were like that. And even states like Rhode Island, for example. Here's another one. Rhode Island, at this point when I took this screenshot, this looks like this was at 8:49 p.m. Here we have, oh, that's weird because it's mirrored. 32% of votes being reported. And surprisingly, Rhode Island was looking pretty red. Trump actually had 54% of the vote in Rhode Island at the time, and Biden had 44%, and they had called it again for Biden, even though at this point the entire state of Rhode Island was red. And there were several states like that. And I mean, there is no way in hell that Georgia turned blue. I'm sorry. I don't see how that is possible. That Georgia could have gone blue, but that is what they're saying. There are several lawsuits going on against the results, and the thing is the media. Actually, JP Sears, if you guys are familiar, put out an excellent but a little bit terrifying video recently, and it was about, this is how you have a civil war. And there was actually a video that I was working on before everything happened where BuzzFeed was also talking about the possibilities of a civil war. And the election happened, and I was like, oh crap, well, I won't be able to post that video now, so I wasn't going to finish it, but actually it seems like it might still be pertinent, so I will finish it when I have the energy and focus and brain power for all of that. Anyways, he put out, JP Sears put out this video, and it talked about how the media really has no business talking about election results so far as like calling it. they have no influence over the results of the election whatsoever. They're acting like they do. They're acting like they're the ones who decide the results, and that's not the case. There's a long constitutional process that has like 3 different tiers to it as far as I know, and results need to be certified. And I mean, it's definitely an unprecedented time, but there's a whole bunch of like backup steps in case something like this were ever to happen. You know, meanwhile, I posted that video 2 weeks ago now. I'm sorry, time is not a thing lately, about the lockdowns that were sweeping again through Europe, Spain. Let's see, last time I looked, we were up to Spain, France, Portugal, Germany, England, Ireland, someone told me. Belgium was talking about it. I haven't checked back in to see if Belgium has locked down, but Europe is locking down again. And there's plenty of people that said, oh, well, it's never going to happen here. But we have Joe Biden's advisors. And the bizarre thing is the media is reporting so many different things, and they're the ones that are controlling the narrative. And of course, you control the narrative, you control the people. On the one hand, they're reporting that Joe Biden's advisors say that we need a national 4 to 6 week lockdown in order to revive the economy. That was an interesting thing that popped up on Twitter, and I retweeted it saying, you know, you have to pick one, you can't have both. And someone retweeted it and tagged Biden in it. Biden did not respond, but a whole bunch of Antifa and socialist folks did. So that was interesting. And then at the same time, I got an email. I get the sort of like digest from the New York Times in my email box every day, and it takes the headlines and aggregates them. And now New York Times is saying that Biden advisors say that a national lockdown is unlikely. But then there was an advisor just yesterday saying that we need a national lockdown. And speaking of lockdowns, I want to share. So oh, I'm sorry that now you can see my trash can in the back. Let's move that. So one of the things that I did this week was a little bit of retail therapy, I guess you could say. I took several visits to Palmetto State this week, and I saw this shirt and couldn't not get it. I mean, look at this. He's got a Hawaiian shirt on. This dude with his AR and all his toilet paper has a Boog shirt on a Palmetto State Armory shirt. I mean, this is just awesome. Contrary to what it looks like, Palmetto State does not sell toilet paper, but they had this, and they had a no step on Sneck shirt and a few other ones that I could not resist. So I got them to show you guys to advertise Palmetto State. I just thought it was awesome. I also bought a new carry gun this week and bought myself an AR from Radical Arms because I thought it was really cool that the company was called Radical. It's a whole new world. It doesn't even have a pin stock, and it's got a flash suppressor on the end of it. And my husband got himself an AR and AK pistol. Amazing things you never could have had in Massachusetts. Anyway, so a link to PSA is down in the description for anyone who also wants to check out some of their great shirts. But it's pertinent because, you know, so now there's all this talk back and forth of whether or not there's going to be a national lockdown. I have some folks who sent me some pictures, or were posting some pictures online, and I have pictures of, for example, let's see if this was in the download or not. Well, I mean, if you saw on Facebook or on Twitter, this was the line outside of PSA one day, just to get in the store. And people have been sending me pictures now of empty shelves in stores such as Target. Let's see, where would I have saved that? I'm not sure, but oh, here we go. So this is in Massachusetts, so not totally empty yet, but it's already starting to get pretty cleaned out, and this was last week. These are the cleaning supplies and paper aisles. Someone sent me a picture of a Target in Arizona that is completely cleaned out, and I'm hearing that other states are starting to see that as well. Boston is still having all of their public schools closed, I believe. New York is now talking about closing public schools. And they're also talking about another lockdown in New York. They are instituting a new curfew that begins today, I believe, at 10 p.m. California is also talking about lockdowns again and curfews. Massachusetts has issued a new stay-at-home order that includes masks outside all of the time, even if you're by yourself, even if you're social distancing, doesn't matter. So even if you are out in the park or on the street walking your dog by yourself, you are legally supposed to be masked. And Governor Baker has redirected some state funds so that he could order various enforcement agencies to enforce these rules. I'm not exactly sure what the punishment for not wearing a mask while walking your dog alone at 6 a.m. is, but they are apparently punishing that if you are caught. California is talking about banning Thanksgiving and Christmas. They're talking about how many people you are allowed to have in your house. New York Liberty says that they did decide now that New York City schools close Monday. The curfew in Massachusetts is 9:30 p.m., while in New York, I believe it is 10 p.m. So it is starting. It is, in fact, starting. My husband and I did buy ourselves a deep freezer and have been taking regular trips to Walmart and the grocery store pretty much every couple of days, because what's interesting too, one of the things that I have learned about the South is even though we are in a really populated area, the grocery stores are a lot smaller and don't seem to carry as much here as they did in Massachusetts. And so like you go and you buy like 3 packages of chicken and you have bought all of the chicken that they have at Publix. At least of, like chicken breasts or thighs or whatever. They don't seem to have a lot of stock on the shelves at any given time. I don't think that there's going to be a huge issue here, to my knowledge. Well, I know that the governor has said that there will not be a lockdown in South Carolina. I recently found out that one of the local mayors, I guess, has been threatened by Antifa and BLM. They've been threatening to go to his house or something, and he basically told them to fuck around and find out, which is pretty damn cool. So I don't think there'll be that kind of issue here. Also, in my area of the state, it was pretty amazing because as I was watching the results come in here and there on Tuesday, even in parts where it just showed like a lead in the state, and of course you had your blue around Myrtle Beach and Charleston and in Columbia, which is very disappointing. The upstate was solid red, called for Trump like immediately. I've seen a total of maybe 2 Biden signs out and about in the upstate area. So I'm pretty sure my area will be fine. Also, there's definitely at least 2 neighbors, one on either side of me, that has a backyard shooting range, and I can hear that going on till sometimes 11, 12 at night. But the thing is the media cannot decide what it actually is reporting. It seems like because so for example, there's that example where they're saying that Biden advisor says there won't be a lockdown, but then they're reporting that Biden advisor says there's going to be a lockdown. And then they're saying, oh, well, no, it's really unlikely. And they keep going back and forth. And Fauci is coming out and saying that America's independent spirit is getting in the way of doing the right thing, which is a load of crap. And then we have the Washington Post ran a story this week talking about, well, first of all the media keeps saying that there is no evidence of voter fraud whatsoever, despite a heaping amount of evidence of voter fraud. We have the Dominion software that was used for voting, and what is it? Dianne Feinstein has a stake in it, and the Clinton Foundation is involved with it somehow, and all of these Democrat politicians somehow have connections to this company and this software. We had several videos out from Project Veritas. There was the one of the Ilhan Omar ballot harvesting. We had the GOP lady in Texas, bizarrely, that was bribing old people and changing their ballots to Democrat for some reason. I still don't really understand the motivation behind that one. We also had the Project Veritas video that came out of someone asking the postal worker for extra ballots, and he said he would get a handful of them. And then we had the whistleblower that came out that was talking about how the post office was telling people to like backdate ballots that came in late so they could be counted. And that one in particular, the Washington Post ran a story claiming that postal worker had then recanted his story and they couldn't reach him for comment. But then he went to Project Veritas and said, well, no, I never recanted. And in fact, I tried to give them a comment and they wouldn't accept it. And then this video came out, this 2-hour-long video. And I only watched snippets of it because it was really intense, of this postal worker and the postal IG, the inspector general, coming in and doing like this crazy like brainwashing interrogation with him, where he actually said, we like to be in control of our minds, and talking about how he was going to try to implant some false memories in this guy's memory so that he would recall what happened differently, and then say that the post office never did tell him to, backdate the postmarks or any of that. I mean, crazy stuff. And I mean, and there's video evidence, and Project Veritas is pretty trustworthy. And all of these news outlets are claiming that none of that ever happened. I forget how many counties it came out that had over 100% of voter turnout. I don't know how you can have over 100%. There's several states and counties where there is several standard deviations off from the amount of people that are supposed to be living there and the amount of people that voted. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. I'll show you some headlines and we'll go through some stories. I'm going to check out some super chats here. We also had people were talking about, Truth and Reconciliation Committees. AOC and several other people are coming out saying that Trump supporters need to be held accountable and put on a list as if they are you-know-what offenders. And all these people that are totally afraid of COVID suddenly went out and were partying in the streets at the Biden win that isn't even an actual win, because all the results need to be certified. And there are several states at this point, I don't even know how many, they're doing recounts. Georgia is going through a full hand recount, and they have, I think, until the 20th. I'm not really sure, but all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So let's see. Q says, it's nice of YouTube to place notes under your video saying Biden is president and there are robust safeguards ensuring the integrity of the election. Yeah, they're putting they're putting out these stories saying that this is the most secure election we've ever had. I don't really see how that's the case with everything that's in the news if you know the right places to look. Of course, it's only getting reported by places like Fox News, which people would automatically dismiss. Washington Free Beacon, Washington Examiner, Reason. These are the only media companies or outlets that are really reporting on this stuff. Everyone else says it's fine and hunky-dory and dandy and everything is going great, and that is not the case. Robin says sponsors and YouTube put a banner under your title. Apparently the AP called it for Biden, so there's that. Yeah, they're saying, well, all major media outlets have called it for Biden. And I mean, again, the media outlets can call it all they want. They're not the ones responsible for deciding what the results are. And there's actually, what's interesting is there are some companies or outlets. How do I get to this monitor? This is so infuriating. Okay, so that got switched to 2. So where's 3? Oh God, technology. I can't access that monitor right now. Okay. Oh my goodness. Display settings. We'll try this again. That's interesting. So this is supposed to be 3, but they're saying it's 4. 1, 2. Oh, is it down? It's down. That's weird. Okay. Well, I guess I'll have to try to figure that stuff out in a different window. Forgot what I was saying. All right. Tony says, nice to see you, LD. Thank you. Nobody says, since we're the resistance now, what are your guys' opinions on fighting back how they did evil to evil and all that? Not really sure what you mean by that. I know that there are these rumors going on. I don't know if it actually happened. The truckers were supposed to stop working on the 11th Veterans Day, and then they talked about boycotting and parking their trucks and going on strike for like Thanksgiving weekend or something. I don't know if that did actually happen or not. I asked a couple truckers that I know, and they basically said it was bullshit. So I don't know. Jesse Meek says, Doll, you don't have to say anything. Thank you. Patrick Binder says, we are here for you. Talk about whatever you need to. We tune in for you, not specific content. And while that is true, I do get a lot of complaints. There are some people that are very dedicated to going in the comments every time I do a live stream to tell me how much they hate live streams and how they are a useless waste of time. And I have really horrible things to say about it, but there are almost 700 of you over here right now, so you guys like it. Tim says, we're also sorry for your loss, and we will continue to support you even if you need to take some time off. Thank you. With the move, I mean, I did get to the point where YouTube is now my primary job, so I do have to be here and try to figure out how to make things work. Alien Pro Victim says, I hear Ivana Trump won president and Chuck Norris is VP. So there are, man, I wish I could figure out how to get that monitor. Oh, that's weird. So it's having me go down. That is quite bizarre. I'm going to have to figure that out later. Well, so, I mean, we do have several, there are a few different legal challenges that could potentially get funky and bring in a Trump win. Some of them, well, they've been described as Hail Mary passes. I don't know how legitimate that is. And again, with a lot of the media outlets not really reporting on this, it's very difficult to piece together. There are a million pieces to this jigsaw puzzle right now, and a lot of people are really lost on what exactly this all looks like. But there are rumors that Trump knows that he lost and he's just putting on a show. There's rumors that he's already talking about a 2024 run. He did just fire a bunch of people out of the Pentagon, so people are saying he's acting like he's not actually going to leave. There's a lot going on. Robin, thanks for the sticker. Chester Thomas says, sorry for your loss, big hug. Thank you. I might talk about it publicly at some point. I just, I probably will. Now is not quite the time. Bandit 848 says King Ralph in Virginia is locking the state down come Monday. Okay, there we go. See, I knew it. I told you guys that this was coming, and there was a lot of people that said, no, it's not happening. Make sure that you have your supplies, and the sales at these sporting goods stores are not lightening up. That is for sure. I don't know what it's normally like down here, but I have not seen a single empty sporting goods store since I've been down here. They are packed every time I go. And people are talking about how the background checks are taking longer and longer because the system is so flooded. We're trying to get into some concealed weapon class down here so I can get my permit, and they are like full until January. It's very difficult to find anybody who's taking students right now for the classes. It's and all in the stores, they're saying that they have never seen it like this before. Things are getting pretty wild. Trashman says, you really think trash cans bother me? Dragonstone 1001 says, fund for ammo therapy. Thank you. That is something we're trying to do. I have all of these new things and I'm not able to shoot them yet. Christoph Harper says, we only get a civil war if the crybabies don't get what their media master promised. And it's funny because they're the ones that are saying that it's like the right that's going to explode and do all of these crazy things, but they're the ones that have been rioting and looting since when? God, it's been months, right? And it's all these blue cities, right, that had to board up and buckle down. And Jesse Meek says, did you get a Hellcat as your new carry? I did not, though that was one of the ones that I was contemplating. I ended up going back to SIG. I got a SIG P365. So it's a little 9mm 1911, basically. Actually, it looks almost exactly like a Glock 42 or a Glock 43. Very similar size as well. I got a two-tone one, so it's black and gray, which is pretty cool. It's got the X-ray sights on it. I was debating between originally the Springfield XDS. I know, there's all this drama and controversy around having a safety or not having a safety, but I like to have one just for, extra insurance for once there is a family of littles to worry about. So I was debating between the Springfield XDS Mod 2, I believe it was, the M&P Shield, and there was a CZ Rammy that someone was trying to get me to get, and then the SIG P365. The SIG actually ended up having the best feeling grip for me, and it felt really sleek and smooth, and ergonomic. While the other ones, they felt big and bulky, and I am a small person. It's hard to conceal something on here as a small framed individual and with the type of clothes that I like to wear. So I ended up with the SIG, though, like I said, the Springfield was the XDS was a close second. I was also reading about the Hellcat, and that's got really great reviews, but I ended up going with the SIG. Now, if only I can find a place where I can try it out and find extra ammo so that I don't feel guilty using some ammo to try it out. Jesse Sowell, thank you for the super chat. Jonathan Williams says, question, have you heard about the Great Reset? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? I've seen headlines about it. I don't know what it is. So I couldn't really tell you. Jesse Meek says, most secure as to the election. Thank you, dear. I needed a laugh. Roscoe says, if this is the most secure election, exactly how secure or not secure were the previous ones? That is a really good question as well. I don't know, man. There was well, let's get into some of the lawsuits and some of the things that they are alleging here. So there are lawsuits. Oh God, I don't even know where. Let's see. So we have, okay, how do I get back to my main monitor here so I can share this with you guys? All right. I'm just going to hit share screen once, and then we're just going to rotate through. That's weird. Come on. Oh, is it really not letting me? Okay, trying to share the screen has frozen the software. Hopefully I'm still live. Wow, my computer really didn't like that. All right, well, so the the mainstream legacy media is reporting that everyone in the know says there was no election fraud, there was no voter fraud, despite the evidence that I told you guys already. Meanwhile, the FEC chairman says that he believes there is voter fraud in key states. And hopefully you guys can still see me. Oh my goodness, that is frozen too. All right. I'm gonna open my YouTube app to make sure that I'm still live. Because I don't know what's going on. Everything died. Though YouTube has been freezing. So that is a possibility. YouTube died yesterday, I believe. So let me hop onto my channel and see if this is still going. All right, this shows that I'm still live on the app. So, okay. I guess we're still live. Wow, technology. All right, well, we're going to have to watch the super chats mobile, I guess. Let me turn the volume real down. Okay. All right, so I'm going to sit here and watch the chat on my phone, I guess. So, all right. What a day. What a day. Folks are asking if I have email so they can send me some 9mm. So I don't want to give out my home address. I do have a P.O. box, but I have been informed you cannot send ammo to a P.O. box. So, all right, let's see. I'm not going to be able to get all of the super chats on this because it's only letting me go back so far. Alien Probe Victim says, anyone hear the crazy crap Whoopi Goldberg was spouting? Can't believe I ever watched her movies. Yes, I believe it was on The View. She talked about how the left perfectly accepted the results of the election for the last 4 years. She said that basically they sucked it up in 2016, and that is not at all what happened. Charles McGowan says, I believe the Great Reset is referring to the shift from nationalism to globalism under the new administration. Oh man, this administration, man. Oh, I guess I could send it to a gun store nearby. People are saying they are laughing. I don't know if I can pull this up. Well, all right, so we're gonna go. I have all of these articles saved on Feedly. So I guess I'm just gonna read them off my phone for you here. There is one in particular that surprisingly came out of Vox. I believe it was. You know what? We're gonna try Control-Alt-Delete and see if I can just stop that one application so I can get to this article for you guys. Okay, it is specifically the window that is live streaming me right now that is not responding. So that is really unfortunate. All right, well, so from what I understand, there are several different lawsuits going on, and the media is focusing on the fraud aspect, which is really interesting because that's not what the lawsuits really are about. The lawsuits are about unequal ballot treatment. And for example, the fact that there were poll watchers that were supposed to be let in and weren't let in. There was actually, I forget where it was, but there was one place where they were counting the votes and actually putting cardboard up on the windows so no one could see. And the people that were counting the ballots all had like Joe Biden masks on, which is pretty crazy. I don't see how anyone could look at that and call it fair. There was a lawsuit that Trump filed in Pennsylvania talking about how the Secretary of State changed the election rule. Well, tried to change the election rules basically and said that they would count votes that came in or ballots that came in after Election Day. And that lawsuit alleged that the Secretary of State didn't actually have the power to change election rules. That lawsuit was accepted, I believe, and I don't know how many ballots that throws out. Like I said, they are doing the recount in Georgia, though some people are saying that the margin is too big and there's no way that Trump could come out on top there. There's also efforts being made that could All right, am I live again? It's not giving me an indication. All right, I'm gonna wait for the chat. Okay, someone's saying that she's back, so I guess I'm back. I'm sorry for that. Thank you to Robin for texting me and letting me know that I was gone because I could not see anything. My YouTube app also froze up. So that was interesting. And Roscoe, thank you for messaging me. Wow, it looks like I was down for a while. Interestingly enough, all of my articles that I had loaded up for you guys were magically closed. And when Chrome gave me the option to restore all of my tabs, none of those came up with the restoration, which is really interesting. Patrick Binder says, welcome back. Did a pod person replace me? Not to my knowledge. That is really okay. So we're gonna open up history and just go that way. Let's see, the 6 tabs. That's not it. That's not it. All right. Let's go with the 21. That's probably it. All right. Ha ha ha. I got there. All right. Okay, here we go. So this is, I mean, I know that Chrome sucks, but unfortunately, some of the applications I use suddenly stopped working with Firefox, which is really annoying, but that's what happened. All right, so we're gonna try to share screen again. There we go, all right. So this article, surprisingly, is from Vox, and it talks about all the possible ways that Trump could pull off some kind of win. It says it sort of sarcastically and says that basically it's impossible, but it does actually explain some of the lawsuits and some of the different ways that this could end up panning out. All right, so says that President Trump is refusing to concede the election. The thing is, though, is he doesn't actually need to concede because the results really aren't actually in yet. And the deadline nationally, I believe, is sometime in December. So there is plenty of time. He doesn't need to concede yet. They're saying that, Mitch McConnell won't acknowledge that Biden won. All of these people won't acknowledge that Biden won. Well, because he actually hasn't won yet. So first what happens is the states need to certify their election results. December 8th is the deadline that is set by federal law. Most states have earlier deadlines. It's different per state, but so we'll say December 8th is the deadline. So then once the results are certified, that is when the Electoral College actually puts in their votes and officially chooses the next president on December 14th. Now, according to Vox, both of these processes are currently on track to make Biden the next president, but there's a whole different bunch of lawsuits and things that could happen that could change electoral votes, make it go to Congress, make it go to SCOTUS, make it go all kinds of different places. So even Vox acknowledges that any of this could change. They call it a dangerous scenario. That would be if some combination of Republican state officials, legislators, and judges attempts to block the certification of results in key states that Biden has won. Again, he hasn't actually won them yet because the votes are being recounted in a lot of places and they're not fully tallied yet. So, they're saying again, no evidence of fraud. You and I and all of you know that that is not actually true whatsoever. But anyways, so there's also the possibility that Biden electors could be replaced with Trump electors depending on different scenarios and how they could play out. So at the date of this article, which was the 11th, so 2 days ago, at that point, Biden was leading by 146,000 votes in Michigan. Some of those, I believe, are going to be thrown out because of the lawsuits. There's also lawsuits that are being filed by voters in like all of these states. 48,000 votes in Pennsylvania, 36,000 votes in Nevada, 20,000 in Wisconsin, 14,000 in Georgia, 12,000 in Arizona. Those are all pretty small margins, though they are bigger than the number of votes that have gotten in like recounts and stuff before. So there was the big Florida recount, right? And Bush ended up winning that one because of the number of votes that got flipped. Typically, you're not going to see like 146,000 votes show up, even though I believe that is about the number that magically appeared in some of these results. There, you can see that the meme where like Biden's thing kind of goes like this, and all of a sudden it goes up in the air. And there are videos, screen captures of different newscasts that show suddenly, the Democrat got a bunch of votes and the Republican lost a bunch of votes and craziness. So, I mean, I suppose at this point anything is possible. So Trump would have to flip 3 of these states, or Biden would have to lose 3 of these states in order for Trump to win and get the 270, according to Vox. Again, even they admit that counting is still happening. They're saying it's nearly done in all of these states. But again, some of these states are doing automatic recounts because of how close the margin is. Out of more than 24 statewide recounts since 2000, the most an initial vote count has changed. After the recount was about 1,250 votes, and that was the 2000 Florida election. So don't expect recounts to save Trump when he is down by 12,000 or more votes in all of these states. But this situation is different because a lot of these votes came in after the election technically should have been done, and things were getting postmarked weird, or, secretaries of states and politicians trying to change dates when it comes out now that courts are saying they didn't actually have the authority to do that. There was like the signature verification issues going on. There was like something like 100,000 like dead people that voted and shouldn't have voted, and all of these things. And again, we have all those Project Veritas videos of like ballot harvesting and stuff like that. So really, this situation is nothing like the Florida recount. This is something new and different and completely unprecedented. So the next steps are certification and electors. So once the counting and recounting is completed, then the states have to certify those totals. So it's state officials that do that, and then after the results are certified, that is when the electors cast their votes, and it is, of course, the Electoral College that casts their votes. So they're saying that Republicans who have been sympathetic towards Trump's refusal to concede, when again, he doesn't need to concede because he's in office until January, have pointed to these 2 processes as a deadline of sorts for challenges. And they're saying, again, that so for Trump to overturn the results of the election, he would have to prevent at least 3 of these 6 key swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia, from certifying the results showing Biden winning and or supporting Biden electors. There is the possibility, with all of the lawsuits going on and the recounts going on, it is entirely possible that the states could run out of time, and then that would kick out the results. And all of these things are perfectly legal because nothing can be certified until all legal challenges in all lawsuits are done. Those things tend to move pretty slowly, so it is possible that time will run out on the clock. And now the thing with this is I mentioned the JP Sears video that came out in the beginning of the stream, and one of the things that he emphasizes is that the media that controls the narrative and controls the people have been saying since Tuesday, oh, Biden won, Biden's the president, Biden's president-elect, blah, 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 blah. He's the new administration. He's got it in the bag. Biden got this. People are out and cheering and partying in the streets. Lori Lightfoot is out partying in the streets while simultaneously ordering a new lockdown. Go figure. So if this were to happen and those states, some of those states were to get thrown out and take those those presumed Biden electoral votes out, these people, I mean, we already know that they have no problem rioting in the streets and destroying businesses and destroying property. Like, what are they going to do if suddenly it comes out that these votes are being taken away from Biden? And it would be perfectly legal and within due process and, you know, constitutional to take those votes away from him if that is what the results show. But they wouldn't believe it. They would not believe it one bit, and they would tantrum because that's what they've been doing for months, is tantruming. So there is still a possibility for this to turn into violence, even with right now a presumed Biden win. According to Vox, state officials are unlikely to go along with the prospects for blocking certification. But as I was starting to say before the stream lost me, even the FEC chair at this point is saying that there was voter fraud. There are officials in Wisconsin saying that there was voter fraud. I mean, again, look at Georgia. I do not understand how deep South Georgia could suddenly be blue. That does not seem possible. It's Georgia. I don't understand how anywhere in this dimension that could actually happen. Anyway, so this is saying, but one question is whether Trump can harness the power of raw partisan politics to make it happen anyway, by asserting that the election is fraudulent and getting various Republican legislators, state officials, or GOP-appointed judges to fall in line. And now this little bit right here, this possibility that I just read to you, has some media outlets saying that Trump is preparing a coup and that he is engaging in a coup. It is not a coup if it is being done legally and transparently through lawsuits and recounts and all of these things, which is what is happening. What is interesting is some of you might follow the redheaded libertarian over on Twitter, and she posted an email that was sent to her by someone who did not live in America, and talked about a color revolution that had happened in Yugoslavia and in various other countries that the CIA helped out with. And the stuff that was going on in those color revolutions is very, very similar to what's happening in the US right now with this election. And I mean, we all know that some major players have been against Trump for day one. You know, deep state, and everyone's like, oh, those are conspiracy theory. When the FBI is texting each other on their little cell phones, talking about ways to make sure that Trump doesn't win or to get him out of office, I think we can say that there was a deep state conspiracy to try to prevent him from winning or get him out. I have believed for a very long time that elections weren't really real and voting wasn't really effective, to be quite honest. But it's pretty clear that, like, Trump wasn't supposed to win, and they don't know how he won and how he got in. So if anyone is guilty of a coup, it's not Trump. It's all of these other politicians and media moguls and deep state actors. And I mean, they made up this fake dossier about a germaphobe getting peed on by hookers and recording it. I mean, Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like it should be like the plot line of a spoof movie or something. So again, you can't call this a coup if it's being done in the open, in broad daylight, legally, through legal and constitutional means, as opposed to like fake Oppo research about P-tapes. My God. Anyways. So according to Vox, as far as certifications are concerned, the early signs have not been encouraging for Trump. One Republican Secretary of State in a key swing state is Brad Raffensperger of Georgia, and he has pushed back against assertions that voter fraud changed the outcome. But I mean, at the same time, like, you don't want to be someone who's in political power and being like, oh yeah, sorry, my state was a victim of voter fraud. But he even says, was there illegal voting? I'm sure there was, and my office is investigating all of it. Does it rise to the numbers or margin necessary to change the outcome to where President Trump is given Georgia's electoral votes? That is unlikely, Raffensperger added. But see, even in this article, they're saying that there is no evidence of fraud. And right here, we have the Republican Secretary of State saying, yeah, there was fraud. It might not be enough to make Trump win, but there was fraud. So, I mean, they can't even keep their narrative straight in their own articles. In Arizona, the Republicans control the state government. Democrat Katie Hobbs, the elected Secretary of State, is in charge of certifying the state's elections. And before I hopped on, I saw a headline talking about how she had been very openly critical of Trump and was encouraging people not to vote for him. Imagine that. She claims that there are no irregularities and no fraud, but again, it's Arizona. I know that Arizona is considered a swing state. I don't understand how a place with that much gun ownership could vote for Biden when he's talking about all of this gun control and the Truth and Reconciliation committees. And now he's talking about appointing some like czar of medical equipment. I just don't understand how this must be like weird la la unicorn land or something. Anyways, Nevada has a Republican Secretary of State, but Biden has a lead of nearly 3 percentage points there, which looks safe. But again, if any of these ballots that came in after the fact that were for Biden, because I mean, if you are watching the results the day of, you could zoom in on any state and it was mostly blue, mostly red. I'm sorry, with the exception of, Massachusetts and, California, right? So a lot of these blue votes were for mail-in ballots or were magically found after the fact, right? If any of these get thrown out because they came in too late, or there's like weird things with the ballots, or there was a bunch of ballots that were found that only had Biden marked off and nothing else on the entire ballot. And it was like thousands, which is pretty suspicious. And they were all found like together, which is also really weird. I mean, how are there magically a bunch of ballots that just show up that are only for Biden and don't have anyone else marked on the ballot, and they all show up at the same time in the same place? It's really weird, right? So who knows what could happen? Pennsylvania also has a Democratic Secretary of State. In Washington and Michigan, and we all know how much Gretchen Whitmer and stuff loves Trump. Bipartisan boards are in charge of certifications. All 4 states have Democratic governors. None of them are going to go along with Trump's baseless claims that the election was stolen. I don't know if it's really up to the governors to follow through on those claims. I believe it's up to the courts. It's the courts that typically decide lawsuits and the judges that decide them, not governors. So, this sounds like an article that's really trying to calm and comfort the left base. But I mean, they're saying that Trump's claims are baseless, but really their claims are baseless because, again, Trump does have a valid argument with some of these states, and especially with the way, this people talk about how Trump has like a cult of personality behind him, and that is true. But the anti-Trump movement is also a cult of personality. Vote blue no matter who. I mean, it's entirely possible that fraud has been going on and people were willing to go along with it, no problem, just because it meant getting rid of Trump. I mean, it was disgusting, and I hate to use that word, but I mean, it was flat out disgusting. Some of the people I was seeing on social media, friends, family members saying, "Oh, I just realized my jaw has been clenched for 4 years and I can finally relax." Or people saying, "I can finally breathe again now that Trump is gone." If you were that disturbed by Trump, even though he really did not affect much of your daily life beyond putting more money in your pocket, as a professional, you need professional help. If that was how you have been spending the last 4 years of your life, you need to do some personal evaluations, a personal inventory, find something in your life to bring you joy, because that is not the sign of mental health and stability. I'll tell you that. So, as Vox notes, there's also a whole bunch of lawsuits going on in state and federal court attempting to challenge the outcomes and delay state certifications of results. This says that none of them have been particularly successful, and I believe it just came out today that one of them was retracted, I believe in Pennsylvania. But it is possible that some of these lawsuits will land in front of conservative judges who will find reasons to side with the Trump campaign. They act as if this is some partisan thing, when really it should come down to constitutionality and the facts and the actual integrity of the ballots and the behaviors and things going on at polling places. This shouldn't be like a partisan decision. It should be like, well, okay, let's look at the facts and see what happened. Of course, these outlets are not going to report it that way. And then, of course, it could always go up into the Supreme Court, which we had talked about during the whole Amy Coney Barrett controversy and why it was so important to fill RBG's seat in case something like this happened. And look, it happened. Surprise. So then this also talks about how there are Republican legislators and GOP appointed judges who could magically side with Trump out of sympathy or something. Again, that is not how court systems and judges are supposed to work. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen that way, but it's not the way that it's supposed to work. I mean, even these articles, the whole leftist ideology and reasoning in logic, logic is so feelings and emotionally and sentimental based, rather than looking at the actual facts and how it compares with the way that the law is laid out and constitutionality and all of that. They assume that emotion and feelings go into everything, when really the legal system is supposed to be fair and unbiased and logical and rational without any of this emotional fluff. So, of course, I guess if that's the way their worldview is, they're not really going to understand that that's not the way that the government is supposed to work. And, of course, civics aren't taught anymore anywhere. So I suppose they're not going to know that. So this talks about how Democrats control most of the key states that are in contention here, 6 of these swing states that Biden won. But the catch is that Republicans control these state legislatures in 5 of them, which are Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. And they're like, oh, might these Republican legislators try and overturn their state's results by appointing Trump's electors rather than Biden's? I suppose it's possible, but even just by the matter of the fact that Republicans got so many more seats in Congress than they were predicted. I mean, everyone said, we talked about it several weeks going, that Democrats were the favorite to take over Congress. That's not what happened. Republicans actually gained a lot of seats and even flipped some seats. So I don't know, like, how is it that Congress basically turned red, but the presidency did? I don't know. All of this is so convoluted and bizarre. I mean, they could, like, these Republican legislators could be like, okay, we're going to appoint Trump electors instead of Biden. But I mean, they're not really supposed to do that all willy-nilly. Like, again, that's not supposed to be how government works, but okay. So Wisconsin State Rep, this guy has already endorsed this idea, according to Vox, who either have to toss this election out and have a whole new election, or we have our delegates to the Electoral College vote for the person they think legitimately should have won. And again, the electors voting for who they think legitimately should have won is very different than this idea that Vox is putting forth of, like, Republicans deliberately sabotaging things. So again, they can't even keep their own narrative straight in their own article. But again, I mean, we're talking about outlets that expect their readership not to think. And Gito 463 is saying we also have the case of the about 6,000 votes for Trump, which the software mysteriously switched to Biden. That was caught, but who knows how much wasn't caught. Also true. So basically they're saying that in all of these different states, there's 1,000,001 ways that things could go that could possibly turn things in Trump's favor. There's also the Supreme Court, that recently embraced a legal theory that state legislators, not federal judges, not state governors, not other state officials, bear primary responsibility for setting election rules. So if there are 3 other Supreme Court justices that end up agreeing with this line of thinking, they could potentially grant partisan state legislators far more leeway to do what they want with the elections, according to Vox, without having to worry about governor's vetoes, secretary of states, or elections boards. So, in short, there is a whole bunch of possibilities that could happen to get Trump votes, to get votes thrown out, to get states flipped, to get the whole election thrown out. It's messy, and it's about as messy as I suspected it might be, and I think as a lot of other people expected it might be. Let's go into the super chats here, because I know there was a bunch that came through when, but right before the stream went down and I didn't have access to it. Let's see. Robin says, there goes the boomer brain again, LOL. I think it was just the technology not working. Brad the Magnificent says, Trump isn't going to win. The fix is in. I mean, sadly, I think that you're right. And I'd like to say that maybe that would stop the rioting and the looting, but I don't know, because then that could kick a whole bunch of other things off. And if they try to do any sort of national lockdown, that is not going to be pretty. Stephen Lestick says, did you see that mail-in ballots were accepted 30 times higher rate than previous elections that did not have unsolicited ballots? I did not. Chris Britt says, I'm a truck driver. All those claims of the boycotts are BS. That's pretty much what I was told. Demented Liquor says, the left is fighting and attacking themselves. I mean, they always do that. James Hill says, I love your updates. Sorry for your loss. Trucking with a light load across Wyoming. Still didn't miss the live update. Also, the trucker thing is BS. And then Patrick Binder, Tim and Tim both saying that, yes, I got brought back live. Trashman asks, did you get what I mailed you yet? No, I have not, though I have not checked the P.O. box in a couple of days. I checked it Monday, maybe. I'm not really sure. Robin says, on new movie, the Stepford Libertarians. And Alien Probe Victim says, don't worry, they got me once too. It will stop aching in a few years. Rose says, if this goes to a tie, it goes to the House. 1 vote per state, 29 states Republican, 19 states Democrat, and they have to vote party line. Trump will win. And that is also a possibility. So they could get enough states, enough votes thrown out, or enough states to miss certification. Any of these things could happen to possibly go to a tie. And if it goes to the House, absolutely. Yeah, Trump's going to get it. It's a question of if that happens and how far some of, how far the powers that be will go to make sure that none of this happens. David Neal says, did you see that BLM is demanding something from Biden because of their support for him? I did not. I did see some headlines that he's already pushed Bernie to the side, despite all the Bernie bros thinking that Biden was going to include him in his cabinet and all of these things. So I'm not surprised. This is, if Biden takes it and keeps it, this will be an interesting few years. I also heard that there is a possibility then of like the House picks the president and the Senate picks the VP or something like that. And so by some really bizarre twist of fate, it could come to like a Biden presidency with like a Trump vice president. I don't know. I have heard so many different theories and so many different things that at this point, like, I don't even know. I don't even know which ones are true and which ones are accurate anymore, and how likely any of them are. The Bug Killer says, does not need to be a tie. Neither candidate getting 270 is sufficient to send it to the House. That is good to know. Yes, the Lincoln Project is another group that is trying to oust Trump. So, I mean, anything is possible at this point, and I guess we just have to sit and wait. And it's the difficult thing about it is it's very hard to get accurate information on any of this because all of the different outlets are reporting different things. And as we know, a lot of these left outlets are not reporting things fairly and accurately because they're already saying that Biden full out won and everything is done. And that is not the case. There's another month of this, at least. You know, and they're not going to suddenly go back and say things that are going to displease their readers, because that's not what the journalism business is anymore. They print things and talk about things that will satisfy their readers and make their reader base happy. And if you're a left-leaning outlet, you're going to be reporting left-leaning things. Journalism is not fair and unbiased anymore. If you want the truth, unfortunately, a lot of times you have to go to alternate means. Q asks, can we flip enough votes for a Jorgensen win? No, we cannot. That is definitely not possible. And, you know, unfortunately, with some of the remarks that she made, she did not perform well. She did have some slips. She had some gaffes. She had some oops, whatever you want to call them. She did not perform very well at all. And she could have. Well, a libertarian candidate could have, I should say, because a libertarian candidate really could have gotten never Trumpers from both sides. They could have gotten a bunch of people from the walkaway movement, and they really failed to capitalize on an opportunity on that one for sure. interested by YouTube says Trump will contest election to the Supreme Court. Biden will contest the election results, going to the House for determination. Trump win. That is a possibility. Yeah, Kanye got a bunch of votes too, not as many as D's Nuts did in 2016, but he got a bunch of votes. So, lots and lots of crazy things. I even saw somewhere now that people are saying that Trump is going to start his own media empire because he doesn't like Fox News anymore. It's 2020. Anything could happen. We've still got a couple of months left. But it is 8:30, and so we are going to wrap it for now. Thanks everyone for tuning in and sticking around despite all of the myriad technical difficulties we had today, more than usual, and for all my brain jumblies. Hopefully the channel will be back to usual quality and programming soon. I'm going to make my best efforts to make that happen. Dragon's Talon says, would have loved to have seen a presidential race with Liberty Doll, Chris Ann Hall. That would be a winning ticket. I did have some people tell me that they wrote me in, which is interesting. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Thanks, I guess. Not really sure. I guess it's cool. On the one hand, I'm like, oh shit, now the feds know about me, but I'm sure they knew about me to begin with anyways. But yeah, hopefully you guys can make some sense out of this. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll start to be able to make more sense out of this in general. Watch the lawsuits, watch the certifications, watch your groceries aisles and your your paper goods aisles. Things are going fast, and make sure that you are locked and loaded. I guess everyone check out any of the links down in the description for supporting partners of the channel. Again, check out Palmetto State in their amazing apparel. I still can't get over this. I saw the Hawaiian shirt and I had to get it. Yeah, so check out PSA, Sportsman's Guides, Cabela's. We have all of them supporting this channel, so check them out on the description. Again, thanks for tuning in despite everything that went on tonight, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.